Hello everyone, welcome to this fourth live stream in the series on the philosophy of John Locke, where we read his book, An Essay Concerning Human Understanding. So brace yourself, because today I will discuss John Locke's ideas of complex ideas, so it will be many different words thrown around here. So hope you guys are excited. But before that, as always, let's have a quick recap for all you new viewers out there. So what we've been discussing these past few weeks was that the first 2 weeks we talked about if there are such a thing as innate principles of the mind or innate knowledge or innate morality, anything really being innate concerning human understanding. And according to John Locke, that is simply not the case. There is no such thing as innate principles, morality, or innate ideas. Therefore, the mind should be considered to be a blank page when it's born. So, and according to John Locke, everything concerning human understanding is derived from experience, and there being really two different sources of experience. Either we have sensory experience, which is basically my senses perceiving things from the world, and reflection, which is my mind operating or um, observing uh, the principle or the observing the sensory experience that I have. And from sensory experience, we receive ideas such as sweetness, hunger, sight, etc. And then, let's see, sorry, I'm just going to check my notes here. Yeah, and then from sensory reflection, we gain ideas such as perception and volition, for instance. And then we also discussed last week, I believe, the difference between primary and secondary qualities. And the thing with those are that primary qualities is considered as real qualities that are intrinsic to the objects themselves. Such qualities could be extension, figure, and motion. Oh, hello, Wahid. Good evening. No, sorry, I was actually late myself. I actually lost connection just a moment before I was going to go live. I hope that everything will work out throughout the whole episode. But anyway, well, you're very much welcome, Wahid. Thank you for joining me. I'm doing very well. As you can see, beautiful weather here. So I wanted to do an outdoorsy episode this time around. So where was I? Yeah, primary qualities. They are real qualities that exist, and such qualities could be extension, objects being extended into space, figure also, and motion, and they are intrinsic to the objects. And then we have secondary qualities, which compared with primary is not intrinsic to the objects, because but they have the powers to produce certain experience within us, and those qualities could be color, taste, and warmth. I believe last week we discussed the fire. Take a fire, for instance. Fire can produce the idea of warmth within me, but it would be weird to say that warmth exists within the fire, right? So the fire has the power to produce warmth within me. So, and also, we talked a little bit about last week about the distinction between simple and complex ideas. And this week, we're going to focus upon the complex ideas. So, I wanted to put this into a more modern context, because, or modern and old at the same time, I believe. But okay. If let's take it to the problem of universals, because that's really what we're talking about here. Let's take, here we have I'm going to write it up here. Here is a blue circle, sort of, and here is a blue square. So these two entities are same or similar in one way, but different in another. And this is very important, and this is really a big debate within philosophy. And within this debate, we find more or less three different camps, maybe more, but generally speaking, if we draw another line here, on this side of things, we find the universal realist. And this camp argues that universals exist as real entities. Universals being, for instance, color or shape. Just like the different qualities John Locke talks about. And the thing with the realist is that these two are instantiations of the same universal, exactly the same universal. And here in the middle, we find the trope theorists. Trope theorists. And they claim that, well, they both of these two entities have both similar tropes. They are not exactly the same. They both possess a trope of blueness, but they are unique. And here on the far end, we have the nominalist. I'll just write nomin. But so the nominalist claims that there are no such thing as universals or tropes. Basically, whatever we call blue is just a name that we have invented for clarity or being able to talk with each other. They don't exist in any real sense. It's just the way we talk with each other. And all these qualities are just, names. Nominem, I believe, just means name in Latin or be it Greek. Anyways, so why I wanted to talk about this was, where should we put John Locke? In what camp should we put John Locke here? What do you guys think? Because I thought this would be a simple question for me to begin with. I believe, oh well, but it was really tough actually, because he says that primary qualities exist as real entities. So in some way, he is a realist in some sense, right? But also then we have the secondary qualities, which is dependent upon us. So they don't exist in the same way, right? And then even we're going to discuss complex ideas. They are built by us, abstracting simple ideas or compounding simple ideas. So they exist on an even farther level, if you can say that. Lower level, or basically, the complex ideas are only nominalistic ideas. So, yeah, I would actually say that John Locke is a very restricted realist in a way, because he allows the existence of primary qualities to exist as real entities. So they are somewhat real in a way. You catch my drift? Oh well, or one can see him as a nominalist that allows some realist perspective upon things. So, why I wanted to discuss this is that, because complex ideas is basically this. He has a different solution to this whole thing, I believe. Or well, one can see him as a realist or whatnot. So, what was the next thing that I wanted? Yeah, complex ideas. Because complex ideas are just us really compounding or mixing simple ideas into universals. So they are nominalistic. That was my point. So, and now when we're talking complex ideas, us humans are creating these ideas. Because the difference between simple ideas and complex ideas is that simple ideas are only received through sensory experience or reflection, which means that we cannot create new simple ideas, but we can create complex ideas, obviously. Oh, I really learned a lot about Locke in Russell's first chapter of Appearance and Reality. Oh, thank you for that tip. I think I should read it. That sounds like a good idea. I mean, Russell is, I mean, he was a genius. Thank you so much, Wahid. That's a really good tip. Um, if so, what would you say? Was John Locke a realist or a nominalist? Can you answer that question? While you type that, I'll continue. So complex ideas can be created in basically 3 different ways. Let me just find oh yeah. So they are made in 3 different ways. So either nominalists, oh no, not nominalists. I'm getting ahead of myself. So either we can combine simple ideas into one. So that is basically one way of creating a complex idea. By combining one simple idea, more simple ideas into one. And then we can compare different ideas with each other. And by comparing, we can form complex ideas such as relations between things, which is very important because according to John Locke, uh, the complex idea of a place is a relation between 2 spots, really, if I remember correctly. So by comparing 2 spots, we find the relation between 2 places. So, and then we have the third one, how they are made is by abstraction. And basically, the abstraction is separating ideas from their objects and combining them into one. For instance, I might have an idea of, let's say, ears. I've seen many ears, and they all vary in different forms, but I can abstract them or separate them from these different entities that I've seen and combine them into one abstraction, which is the universal of ears. But this, like I said, it's not a realist universal. It's just an idea that I created, or we create, really. Okay, so then, now, this is how we make different ideas, different complex ideas. Then I want to talk about different complex ideas. I mean, there's two different categories of complex ideas themselves. The first one being modes. And modes is basically modifications of simple ideas. We have simple ideas received from sensory experience or reflection, and from them we can create complex ideas, which is modes from these simple ideas. Does it make sense? I know, a lot of words today. I think, that doesn't matter. And then we have B, which is substance. And what substance is, according to Locke, is, I think we discussed this about 2 weeks ago or so. When we see a man is a complex whole. We perceive many simple ideas from this man, but in reality, he is one. It is the entity that exists or subsists, according to Locke. It can exist on its own. It's a complex whole from which we receive simple ideas. And then the third one is relations. And relations is just like we same thing here is how they are made. A relation is when we compare two ideas with each other. Yeah, that's basically it. And then I wanted to focus a bit more on modes today. There are two different types of modes. So there's a subcategory here with modes that is called simple and mixed modes. And let's just first talk about simple modes. I'm just going to read, Oh, was it difficult? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Spinoza. Yeah, Spinoza had had ideas about substances as well. I can't remember his conception really, and I don't know who was first here really. So sorry, I can't answer that question. Do you remember Spinoza's conception of substance? Because I think Descartes also talks about substance. That was a very debatable topic, I believe, during the time of Locke, to consider what substance really is, because Descartes thought that this human soul was a substance, but it was a separate substance than the body. So the mind and body was two different substances. But so how do you categorize substance? What is substance really? That was a big debate back then. So yeah, so we talked about different modes. We have simple and we have mixed modes. So simple modes is basically when we compound ideas of only one simple idea. And this is actually quite exciting because this is how John Locke claims that how we create numbers. So according to Locke, there are, whenever we have an idea of anything, this idea also brings with it the idea of oneness, because it is one idea. So this one idea that I think, we receive from reflection. I just reflect upon one idea and I realize that, oh, it is one idea. And from this simple idea of one, I can simply compound it with another oneness, so to say. And from this, we have the number 2. So, and from this, we can simply extrapolate to all of the numbers to infinity, right? So this is how John Locke claims how we create the numbers. So I believe that John Locke would say that the numbers are merely created by us. In this way, he's a nominalist when it comes to numbers, but maybe not a nominalist when it comes to the number 1, because the idea of the primary qualities brings the idea of oneness as well, and they exist as real entities. So maybe the idea of one exists, and that would make sense as well, right? But well. So it can be difficult to determine where simple ideas and complex ideas begin. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say so as well. Because I'll discuss that even further on the next one. Because so that is how John Locke basically defined how we. Oh no, basically says how we come by the numbers. And then also I wanted to talk about mixed modes. So we're still here. Mixed modes is basically compounds of 2 or more simple ideas. And I believe John Locke gives us the example of beauty, for instance, and theft. These complex ideas are more abstract, I would say, by nature, because they are 2 or more simple ideas. Well, so now I wanted to talk about, there is one complex idea that, I mean, this is really the whole thing with empiricism, or John Locke's goal is to show that basically, it doesn't matter how complex the idea is, it is still derived from sensory experience and or reflection, nothing more. And one such idea is infinity. That is, this idea is very complex, but still it comes from sensory experience. How? Well, for instance, when I have an idea and then I have another idea, I reflect upon these two ideas that they come in a succession of each other. So I have two different sensory experiences, and I reflect they come in a succession. And from this, I can conclude that there's a duration between these two different sensory experiences, sensory experience. So from that, we have the um, simple idea of duration. And here's the thing, that's why I wanted to talk about. Is duration a simple or complex idea? Because it seems as it is a simple idea, or, well, so it doesn't matter really. But the important part is that we receive the idea of experience. No, we see, sorry, excuse me. We receive the idea of duration between two ideas. And from this, we basically arrive at the idea of time. And then we can simply divide time into different parts. And here we have minutes, years, millennia, etc. And we can simply compound these variations or modifications of time or duration indefinitely. And from this, we gain the idea of infinite time. Does it make sense? And then the same thing can be done to infinite space. And this is derived from the idea of space, and then which is, I believe it's a simple idea, the idea of space. And then we can create measurements, same thing here, compound it indefinitely into infinity. So, well, but I believe that he says that the two things that we can consider to be infinite is space and time. But I believe that John Locke claims that they are distinct concepts. So he doesn't say that it is space time or really. So how we form abstract concepts like justice, beauty, or morality, which don't seem to be straightforward combination of simple ideas. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because he hasn't. I mean, he says beauty is a complex idea, but he doesn't really explain, if I remember correctly, how we combine simple ideas into the complex idea of beauty. And even morality seems like a tough question as well, because one thing that Immanuel Kant uh, wanted to, I mean, for Kant, if there is such a thing as morality, it has to be a priori, therefore not derived from experience. So if Immanuel Kant is correct, I mean, John Locke certainly can't derive uh, morality from experience. And that is also connected with Hume's law. I mean, David Hume comes later, right? But how can you derive such a thing as morality solely from experience? Well, very good question. Thank you so much for that one, Wahid. So, where was I? Well, yeah, I mean, that's basically what I wanted to discuss today. It was a lot of things that I wanted to go through, but I hope it all made sense. I was, I got a little bit nervous there in the beginning because of the internet connection. But anyway, so um, but the whole thing to conclude here, the main endeavor of John Locke is to really create a whole system and explain everything from sensory experience or reflection, even such complex ideas such as infinity, time, space, etc. Morality. I mean, maybe we'll get to morality in the future. I'm not sure, but probably. But I mean, does he succeed? I mean, I don't think so. But I mean, it is quite the system, and yeah, he did a really good work, I gotta say. So for next week, I was planning to read. I think it was up to page 262, which concludes the chapters about powers. So that will be next week's subject probably. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you in a future episode or in a week. Take care.